this round tonight. I'm Amelie Heying. Thank you so much for joining us. Our main story tonight concerns April 23rd, 1977, a date distinguished by, among other things, the birth of John Cena, professional actor, wrestler, and probably most importantly, rapper. Your time is up. My time is now. You can't see me. My time is now. Today I actually want to discuss another John. John Oliver, also born April 23rd, 1977, but as you can probably tell by his distinctly nerdy appearances, is definitely not a rapper. So, how is this cartoonishly British man who looks like he enjoys drinking tea and correcting grammar significant whatsoever? I have plagued my family with the name John Oliver since 4th grade, when I decided to cure my childhood loneliness with the amazing world of YouTube. After clicking on a single episode of Mr. Oliver's work, I was hooked. Like any self-important elementary schooler with a general disgust for worldly pursuits, such as playing with other children, I became enamored with Mr. Oliver's wide political breadth and sexy academic smarts. 30 minutes of political commentary and a lot of bad language each episode. Who could resist? Flash forward to the day when I finally had tickets to a John Oliver stand-up routine and was looking out wide-eyed from the audience, and I was the only one under 50 in attendance. Hashtag born in the wrong time period. But that was actually pretty odd to me. With the advent of the internet age, Gen Z has developed both a TikTok attention span and a deep awareness for the issues around us. From abortion rights to Black Lives Matter. According to the Society for Human Resource Management, Gen Z may be the most socially conscious generation ever. When you combine our attention spans with our advocacy, John Oliver's rapid-fire socio-political analysis should be perfect for my generation. So today, we will investigate who John Oliver even is. Then we will examine what he does and why it works, before finally understanding the full implications of his work, and why you should be just as infatuated with him as I am. Now, before I continue, this speech comes with a TVMA warning for language. John Oliver says the word fuck a lot. Therefore, this speech will simultaneously show you that teenagers do, in fact, curse, and do the original humor justice. You have been warned. And now, this. John Oliver is a British-American 45-year-old who graduated from Cambridge in 1998, but decided to take the least stable job opportunity possible and started a stand-up career in the UK. He was largely ignored by Americans until his 2006 premiere on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. So, by 2012, John Oliver has a couple of Emmys. He's been in some culturally defining TV and movies, but you probably can't pinpoint his name. Then 2013 hits. Jon Stewart takes some time off, and John Oliver becomes a guest host on The Daily Show for about 8 weeks. The thing is, he's really good at it. So good, in fact, that 3 months later, HBO gives John Oliver what would later become one of the most influential shows in American comedy history. Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. Shit, that's embarrassing. Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. Now, Mr. Oliver's work on the show has been described in many ways. According to Michael Rappaport of Twitter, Mr. Oliver is a fucking scared whiny crybaby. However, critical acclaim of the show has been astounding. The New York Times described Last Week Tonight as groundbreaking investigative journalism, and the 23 Primetime Emmy Awards and 6 Producer Guild Awards back this claim up. Now, before I get into the what and why of Last Week Tonight, I'd like to read some of John Oliver's most famous quotes on the show. Out of context, fuck you, Danbury, see you in court, fuckface, and in response to first migratory patterns, Fuck you, birds. I hope you never come back. So, how do these random angry comments fit into one of the most influential shows in America? Well, Last Week Tonight is your traditional late night television show, with some big exceptions. Instead of using multiple topics, it's actually structured a lot like this event. It's speech and debate. Interestingly enough, info comes from the world of college speech, where college students borrowed heavily from late night TV to create a staple format that combines humor with the academic thesis structure, beginning with an opening abstract, followed by a detailed breakdown, and finishing with conclusions. John Oliver's media directly appeals to the thesis format drilled into students. Additionally, Oliver rarely addresses popular current events, instead focusing on a single obscure issue that he then elevates to the forefront of the American public. Let's see this in practice. In his episode on net neutrality, or in Oliver's words, prevention of cable fuckery, Oliver introduces this complicated issue we know nothing about as boring. You see, no one will engage with an episode if they feel stupid. Oliver needs to make us more comfortable with this complex topic. According to the National Library of Medicine, the attention span of Gen Z is just 8 seconds. Oliver has to grab our attention. So he warms us up with some humor and then slips us an easy definition of net neutrality. All data must be treated equally, no matter who creates it. Basically, he's saying that if I have AT&T and I want to open a tab in the search engine Bing, AT&T cannot slow my access to Bing, giving me the spinning wheel of death just because Google pays them more. In simple terms, net neutrality protects us from cable monopolies. Of course, Oliver would also point out that AT&T can't steal my access to shit anyways, because it already runs slower than a sloth on Xanax. And just like that, Oliver has mixed entertainment and information together to create infotainment media, drawing us into a topic we now want to learn about. After getting our attention, Oliver exposes government corruption. For example, the president had appointed a cable company lobbyist as the head of the FCC, the governmental branch that is supposed to regulate cable companies. Oliver thus introduces revolutionary media into his analysis, highlighting abuses of power to increase our stake. Throughout his episode, Oliver uses research information. Think journalism. Oliver wants us to feel educated and smart. He gives us the information we need while making it engaging enough for us to want. Finally, John Oliver calls us to action. Remember these 3 media types? Well, it turns out Oliver has created his own unique media called catalytic media. He mixes infotainment media, journalism, and revolutionary media together to attract us to his topic, inform us about the issue, and then inspire us into action. In the last minute of his episode, Oliver calls on the politically inspired, the newly informed, and the trolls of the internet to make real change to an effective pathway he has provided. And change we created. 24 hours after his episode aired, the FCC's website crashed as 3.7 million people commented on an issue nearly nobody had cared about the night before. As a result, net neutrality was preserved. And this phenomenon leads directly to my third point, the core implications of his work, the John Oliver effect, or how catalytic media can harness people to create change. Oliver's work has implications everywhere, from courtrooms to motions in Congress. But the effect is spreading past Last Week Tonight. Just last year, Redditors known as Wall Street Bets, drawing inspiration from Oliver, were able to influence a large crowd on the internet into buying GameStop stock, effectively overturning the stock market for about a week. Unfortunately, the Redditors critically omitted the journalistic part of catalytic media, creating unaware mass action that was not sustained. As new offshoots develop, it will be up to both Gen Z and to traditional news outlets to adapt catalytic media into a form of information that appeals to a new generation, but on an even broader scale. Last week tonight could be the official start of catalytic media tying together the politics of a rising generation and the American comedy scene. You see, watching John Oliver's show doesn't just tell you things you would have never known about. Oliver lets us know that through collective action, we can achieve great change. So this might just be me, but the next time I go to a famed John Oliver stand-up routine, hopefully I'll see more of my generation, looking wide-eyed out of the audience. And then maybe we'll protest some really fucked up shit. And now, that's our performance for this round. Thank you so much for watching. Please scan the QR code, and good night.